So we'll remind everybody we've got actually 2 meetings tonight, as we always do on Thursdays. We have a public hearing meeting, which we'll call to order and then close, and then we will call to order the work session. All the items on the public hearing, we will have the public hearing. Those items will then move forward to the work session agenda. The council at that point may or may not have any questions for the staff and or the applicants. But if you want to speak on it, there will be 10 minutes for and against each variance application during the public hearing time. So with that, this is my favorite part. Let's see how fast I can read this. We have the rules of order for public hearing, zoning matters, City Code Section 280-2. The hearing shall be presided over by the mayor. After calling the hearing to order, the mayor shall request that the parcels of property which are the subject of the zoning proposal be identified and read. Following such identity, the mayor and city council shall cause the director's written recommendation made part of the record. Proponents of each proposed zoning decision shall then be allowed a total of 10 minutes for presentation of data, evidence, and opinion concerning the zoning decision. If all 10 minutes are not used, the proponent's remaining time may be reserved for rebuttal. Opponents of each proposed zoning decision shall then be allowed a total of 10 minutes for presentation of data, evidence, and opinion concerning each zoning decision. The presentation times may not be reduced, but may be extended by majority vote, provided they are extended equally for the proponents and opponents. Anyone wishing to speak must come to the microphone and give their name and address to the city clerk. Do not speak unless you have the microphone and have been recognized. My second favorite part. Call meeting order. All right. With that, welcome, Michelle.
Thank you.
Michelle Alexander is our new development director. We're glad to have you with us. So with that, I'm going to tee it up by calling out the first item. It's PZ 2021-803, which is 2197 Irvindale Drive, which is a signed variance. Take it away, Michelle.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. The subject property is located at 2197 Irvindale Drive. This is the Distillery of Modern Art project. The request concerns a standard which is within the planned unit development, the PUD zoning district. It relates to the monument sign that they are proposing and the location of it. As you may know, this project is currently under construction, including the construction of the sidewalk. They are requesting a variance from the PUD standards related to the location of a monument sign. There's 2 aspects to that. It's the distance from right-of-way, and it's not to be, according to the rules, it's not allowed between the building and the street. Their request is to allow the monument sign to be installed between the building and the street. The application does include examples of options for the design of it. The dimensions are proposed to be 5.5 feet tall, 8 feet wide, 15 inches thick. It's complying with the rules related to being backlit with internal LED illumination, and the exhibit for their renderings are included in the packet. They do otherwise meet all the requirements of our sign regulations. So again, the variance is requested to vary from Chapter 4 of the PUD pattern book to allow a monument sign to be installed between the building and the street. So here is a aerial of the location of the project, proposed project. As I stated, it is currently under construction. Here are examples of the proposed design. Staff does not make a recommendation regarding the preferred design. We, of course, leave that to council. We're just presenting the 5 that were included. That would, of course, have to still meet the dimension limitations of 5.5 feet tall. Another aerial to locate, to orient the project along Irvindale Way. At the intersection, just off the intersection of Ingersoll Rand. The red mark indicates where they are proposing to have it, pretty close to the sidewalk itself, the new sidewalk itself. Here are some photographs of the construction project. Staff does recommend approval of the request to vary from Chapter 4 of the PUD pattern book to allow a ground monument sign between the building and the street. Staff also recommends conditions. First, that the sign shall be constructed in substantial conformity with the sign concept in Exhibit 8. That's dated and received May 20th, 2021. Any revisions would require approval as reviewed and approved by the Planning and Development Director. And then number 2, that the sign shall be set back a minimum of 3 feet off, and if further site constraints do allow it, from the back edge of the public sidewalk. And again, further review and approval of Planning and Development Director. So this concludes staff.
All right, very good. Johnny, everything to add?
I do not.
All right. Public hearing, we'll ask those wishing to speak in favor of the variance request, please come to the microphone. Keep in mind we'll have 10 minutes for this section.
Hello, Seth Watson. Apologies.
Oh, no.
They're tricky.
Ratings go.
There we go.
Hi guys. Not a whole lot to add except for that in doing this sign, I think it's going to draw a lot of people from the neighborhood to actually see a side street, really get some attention to an area that has none at this time. The sign, as you've seen images of, completely comfortable conforming to whatever requirements to get some sort of sign in that area. I don't care about it being big and crazy. I just want people to be able to see it. I don't want it to be in the way, and I'm happy to work with you guys to make sure that that actually works.
Cool. Thanks, Seth. Appreciate it.
All right.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? No? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this variance request? No. As I stated before the beginning of the meeting, this item will then move to the work session agenda where the council may or may not have questions. Item number 2 in the public hearings is PZ 2021-825, which is 2730 Shalford Road, field lights variance.
The subject parcel is located at 2730 Shalford Road. This is the St. Pius Catholic High School field lights variance request. The parcel is 6.07 acres in size, and the proposed development is to add to the existing playing fields outdoor pole-mounted lights for baseball field and practice sports field. A total of 8 light poles are proposed, and they're identified on the exhibit with letters and numbers. The variance concerns just 4 of these. There are poles that are requested to be 80 feet in height, with the walkway lighting included, and 2 practice field poles at 60 feet in height, also with walkway lighting. The variance is from section 230-31E3A3 to allow light poles for recreation fields to be within 60 feet of residential properties or public right-of-way. And in this case, it's both, because there are 2 poles proposed too close to the right-of-way, according to our rules, and 2 that would be closer than the 60 feet distance required from residential. Here's your aerial showing the property and the existing playing fields. It's an L-shaped parcel with 2 fronts, one on Shalford Road and one on Frontier Trail. Across the street on the Frontier Trail side is the school itself, and it is near the Frontier Court neighborhood to the west. Here is a diagram showing all of the pole locations. Circled in the light blue circles are the 4 locations that are the subject of the variance request. The 2 that are labeled B2 and A2 are the ones that are adjacent to residential properties. The ones labeled P1 and P2 are those that are within closer to the right-of-way than our code allows. So there's 4 poles in question. Here's some photographs of the existing site. Staff recommends denial of this variance to allow light poles for the fields to be within 60 feet of residential or within distance of the public right-of-way. Should, however, council motion to approve the variance request, staff would recommend it be subject to the following conditions. 1, that the development be constructed in substantial conformity with its Exhibit A, that's dated from June 14, 2021. Number 2, that the applicant ensure that the additional evergreen trees are planted to shield imposing light on adjacent properties. And number 3, that the applicant shall meet all other outdoor lighting requirements, including the full cutoff features for light poles A2 and B2 that abut the residential properties. So that concludes staff's report on the application.
Thank you, Michelle. John, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay, very good. All right, anyone wish to speak in favor, please come up to the microphone. Give us name and address. Tell us if you are or aren't related to the project.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Thank you for having me. My name is John Favier, 7 Oakhurst Common Drive, Decatur, Georgia. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
This one is being
Good evening. My name is John Favier, 7 Oakhurst Common Drive, Decatur, Georgia, 30030. I'm the president of St. Pius X Catholic High School. Thank you for seeing us this evening. We have about 190 students that currently park in the parking lot, if you were to go back, toward the western portion of our property, and these lights will significantly help with their safety. We have students that come into our campus as early as 6 a.m. for some of their classes and leave, of course, well after 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So this is a very important project to us. I've also brought with me Jordan Pierce from Musco Lighting, who is representative of the company that we are looking to use to install these fixtures, if you approve.
First of all, I'll introduce myself, and I'll just hand out a couple of things for reference. We also have a presentation here, so allow me just briefly here to read out a few things. Start on that one. You would be so kind as to take one. I'll hold one back for myself. Take one, pass it down. And the same with these.
We could do this. Good, actually. There's more.
There's more.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome so much. Oh wait, I forgot to pass these along, I think. Which way were these going?
Those were going this way.
Do you have one of these?
Yes.
Okay. I have a lot of them.
You win. That's a full house, Eric.
I did. Would you like me to tell you which one it is now?
No fish.
There's some extras there, fellas.
No, tell me which one it is.
Oh. It's the one with lighting on it. Alright. Are we ready to get started now?
We are ready. Thank you for your patience. So, good evening, folks. As John mentioned, my name is Jordan Pierce. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine. We spent so much money on the building, we ran out of money for the audio visuals.
The audio visual got value engineered.
It did.
Alright, so I'll get used to this. But good evening, thanks for your time. As John mentioned, my name is Jordan Pierce, representative of Musco Lighting, resident of the city of Dunwoody, neighbor of yours, and here tonight to speak a little bit about what we propose for their specific site, give you kind of a frame of reference for our footprint and how we do business. So without further ado, we'll kind of start working through our presentation here. But yes, we currently are pretty heavily here in the Atlanta metro area, as well as the entire state of Georgia. If we can skip to the next one. So again, just for your frame of reference, all in all, across the entire state, we have over 200 fields lit with the latest and greatest LED technology that really came on strong back in 2016, 2017. Some names you might recognize from here nearby are posted up here. Obviously, our friends John and Blaze here have our lighting system already at their football stadium, and that was installed just a couple of years ago. But Chamblee High, the city of Dunwoody has several Musco LED systems installed, most notably at Brook Run Park, Dunwoody High as well. And then you recognize some other names from APS, City of Tucker, and DeKalb County. So our footprint is fairly vast. This is an example of what we do not do. This is absolutely not what you want on John's field here. It's not what you want really in any field. If we skip forward, the way we do it is a little bit different. That's Brook Run Park right there, taken from, I believe I was standing on Tilly Mill Road right there. Actually, that's Peachtree Road, excuse me. But yeah, so the way we design our lighting is more than just putting a floodlight at the top of a pole. We like to think of ourselves as community friendly. Certainly we do a lot of lighting for high densely populated areas, cities, municipalities, counties, obviously schools. So it's important to understand that we're just as focused on the adjacent surroundings of any given field we're lighting, just as much as we're concerned about providing safe and playable light on the field. We will continue. So there you have a top and bottom of what you don't want versus what's more preferable. We'll keep flying through this a little bit just because this is a little more get to know you stuff. And that's kind of an aerial. That's just a project from our files of a 6-pole baseball field that we lit up in the state of Wisconsin. I really don't know much of the details on that project, but I just wanted to have that for your reference in terms of an aerial. If we continue, just again for your reference, Musco is tied in with the International Dark Skies Association. That's something that's a little bit bigger emphasized out west, but important nonetheless to mention that as we do our designs, we are a vendor that works with IDA on certain projects, and again that all goes back to preserving the night sky, controlling light, putting it on the playing field, keeping it off of adjacent residences as much as we can. Did Mount Rushmore, it's a cool bragging point. Again, that was nothing I had anything to do with, but again the IDA was big in that. And something important for you to understand as well is in terms of turning the lights on and off. Gone are the days where you were beholden to just a physical switch at the ball field. And if a coach went home because they were distracted and left the switch on, the lights burned all night, shined into neighbors' homes, complaints rolled in, and money was wasted. The folks with the school will have the ability, and they already do with their football stadium, to turn the lights on and off with their smartphones via an app. They can also schedule. So if there are curfews in place for lights to be, hard stop, they have the ability to go into their app and say if that curfew is 10 o'clock at night, I'm just making that up, they can schedule the lights to be shut off at 10 o'clock at night. And that's something that'll happen on an automated basis. So they still will maintain the ability to physically turn a switch at the baseball field, but increasingly we see folks steering more towards the remote control. That way they don't have to be here physically or be at the field physically to turn them on and off. So this is where we get into the goodies of the layout. I have passed along to you an attachment that appears like this. And what that comes from is some of you may be familiar with this organization, the IESNA is the Illuminating Engineering Society of North America. They are the independent third-party gurus, if you will, for all things outdoor lighting, and they specialize certainly in athletics. So that's not just baseball, it's lacrosse, even as far as applications like equestrian folks. So in this particular case, when we do a lighting design, we have to be aware that a sport like baseball is a multi-directional sport, and to provide safe and playable lighting for the players, we have to propose either 6 or 8 poles for the baseball field. Now, of course, the baseball field here, we can apply 6 poles to it. We're able to come off the back of the C2 pole, as you see. and hit the practice field, and then the P1, P2 poles that are off the right of way, those are supplementing the practice field lights as well. The A2, B2 poles are certainly, I think, the ones that are most sensitive to our discussion here tonight. Those are located, I believe, less than 30 feet from the property line, and I believe that's well documented in the memo, and we can certainly send a discussion around that in just a moment. So your 6 baseball poles, you have A1 and A2, which are 70 foot. You have B2 and B1 and C1 and C2 that are 80 feet. And again, those mounting heights are driven by the design guidelines of the IESNA, which are driven towards playability on the field, and as well as enhanced control of the light onto the field, and trying to keep it controlled as best as we can off of adjoining residential properties. So, with that said, I yield the floor so we can have some questions and answers now. As I understand, we want to get to probably quite a bit of subject content here, so I will be glad to take it.
So, point of order, so I'll let you know right now. So this is just to hear from you, public, anybody else. There's still about 3 minutes left. I'll ask if anybody else wishes to speak in favor, or I'll have 10 minutes for anybody who wishes to speak in opposition. This item will move forward on the agenda to our next meeting.
Okay.
Should the council have any questions for you, they will be specific questions asked of you or our staff.
Okay. Okay. Understood. So with the remaining time I have, I've really kind of said my piece. I just really want to impress upon everyone in this room, not just yourselves, that my company is really built its reputation around not only providing playable and safe light on the field, but also off. A large component of this project is, as John said, the safety. A component of this is lighting the walkways, and all poles except for P1 contain light fixtures that are dedicated for security and walkway. And that will be a zone that is independent of the baseball field lights. So again, John and his team can control those lights through their iPhones, let's say, independently of the field lights. It's not an all-on, all-off scenario. So there is some flexibility with how they'll be able to control everything. I believe I'll yield the floor with that.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. All right, there's still 2 minutes left. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor of this variance request? Okay.
My name is Blaze Wanamaker, 17 Planters Drive, Buford, Georgia. I'm the Director of Operations at St. Pius. The applicant request, if you will. Speaking on behalf of the safety and security that we really think that this project is going to give, we've done an extensive survey with the Chamblee Police Department through Officer Poitras and Garcia, who have done more than I think we ever would have imagined, and they have done a survey of crime prevention and theft through environmental design, and have basically told us that this project not only is going to greatly enhance the safety and security of our students, but is going to really help the community and the neighborhood at large. With the ability to turn these lights on and off at any time, we can hopefully help everything that happens in the area. As some of the neighbors know, there's plenty of activity that goes on in this area. We strongly believe that we can help the safety and security, again, not of one of our students, but of the community at large, and we think that this project is going to move us in that direction. So we greatly appreciate all of the good things that can come from this.
Great, thank you. We have about 1 minute left. Anybody else wish to speak in favor? All right, we'll move forward then. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please make way to the microphone, give her name and number to the name and address.
My name is Ella, and I living on 2657 Frontier Trail. You probably know me. Yeah? Okay. And I want to say history. I don't know, maybe few people only know this. Yeah? Before they start.
Ma'am, just direct your comments this way, not that way.
Okay. Before they start to build this field, they promise us no any lights, no any activities after when it will be dark. And right now, these two guys who came from St. Pius School, they young, they don't remember this. Or they don't know it. So right now look like they will have some games after what, 6, 5 o'clock, right? If they need these lights. So will be some noise. So I totally disagree with this.
Very good.
Yeah, and I know they may be worried about safety, but they could put cameras actually on their entrance. By the way, a lot of strange people always playing on this field. You know, I always watching what's going on with that. And I think another, my neighbors doing the same way. So I disagree with this. Yeah, what is this, guys? But I don't know, maybe, I think we can find a lot of people who will be disagree with this. And even, by the way, it's about fields. They put, like we have our fence. Couple more neighbors, they knew, they don't know that the fence between us and school, this is school area. Nobody never cleans this area. Homeless people actually make this place for bathroom, using the bathroom. So I don't know, this is a big problem for us.
Okay.
I don't know, do you write this somewhere or we should to make petition? What is your
So
suggestion?
that's what this public hearing is about. For
Yeah.
y'all to get up and speak. As I said, I think
Okay,
this
so I mean, I think if you need petition for this, I think a lot of our neighbors will be agree with this. We have a lot of problem. We like, my son finished the school. I'm glad to do everything for this school. You know, I went to school many times, even asking them to clean their property. I have some neighbors here who is a witness that me and my husband, who actually had cancer, we both clean their property. Only because we don't want homeless stay over there. So this, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in opposition?
Hello.
Hi.
Love this place. Beautiful.
I'm Laurel Keen, K-E-E-N. I live at 20. Jim Dorsey, he lives at 2729 across the street and along the first base line. I have a bucket of balls that I'm going to give the coach.
Ma'am.
Balls.
Ma'am.
Excuse me. Okay.
Yeah,
I forgot.
I'm going to stop y'all right here, okay? A lot of you haven't been here before. We're trying to be pretty lax, but all the comments need to be directed
Okay.
towards the city council.
It's my
not
first time,
toward- Yes,
so-
ma'am, I understand, so I just want to point it out to everybody.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I have 3 reasons why I am against lights and the games and the noise and the PA system, which isn't on this, but it needs to be brought up. One is the integrity of the neighborhood. We have a very tranquil, calm, peaceful neighborhood. Please drive through tonight. If you haven't already been through, go through the whole community. Pioneer, Frontier Trail, and Frontier Court. With your windows down, drive slowly. Please listen. You won't hear a thing. It's beautiful. It's peaceful. We come home from work, we want a quiet evening. We want to sit in our backyards, have a glass of wine, or pop a beer, or whatever you do. Will we have that if there's a loud game, bright lights, noise? I don't think so. Our neighbors all get along, no problems. We talk to each other when we're going to do something that would hurt each other's property. If we're going to plant a tree, or leaves are going to fall on their property, we'll let them know. If we're going to build something, we'll let them know what hours we're going to be building, what noise we're going to be making. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous. I'm saying this because I wish St. Pie had given us the opportunity to come to them and have an informal meeting so we could discuss things, maybe work out some compromises, like a buffer zone between the noise, the ball games. Buffer either natural or man-made, like the ones along the highway. Second reason, natural habitats. I think it will impact the natural habitats that we have. We have all kinds of animals, all kinds of birds. We do have bats. Some of our neighbors don't know this. You can see them along the Georgia Power right away at night. We'll sit outside and watch them. This summer is the first introduction that we've had of deer. Believe it or not, we have deer in our neighborhood, 4 of them that have seen it so far. Again, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. Last, and probably everyone else will say, the most important one is it will cause the decrease in the value of our property. Will people, young couples that want to start a family, will they want to raise their children next to a loud ballpark with lights? What about babies? Who's going to have a baby with a loud noise and the bright lights coming in? The baby's not going to sleep. And the children can't play out back because of the balls coming in. So, there you go, half the market, selling market. You're not going to get them to move into the neighborhood. I have more reasons, but I wanted to talk about the lights. Not on this information, but on the information on the computer, it said security lights, which are separate from these lights. And I want to talk about the security lights, or these lights are the ones that are used for security. And now I need to ask if they can respond to that question.
Not right at this point.
Okay, let's see, what else? The students that park early. I guess that's because the older upperclassmen get the reservation parking before them. I would suggest that the ones that stay late, when the ones that go home from the areas close to the school, they should move their cars closer so that they wouldn't have to walk. That's probably the last observation I have at this time. But again, if it's voted down, I would ask St. Pie to please have us come over to their school and have a sit-down, informal sit-down, like we did 7 years ago when they were trying to get the zoning to become the park that they are now. That's just a suggestion. Again, I'm not usually this nervous. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for your time. All right, we have like 2.5 minutes left.
Good evening, I'm Brenda Busby. I live at 2717 Frontier Court. My house backs up to the ball field. I will agree with some of the things that have been said, but I will also say that we have some other quality of life issues. The lights that are currently there and the ones that they're proposing coming into our homes and windows and so forth, they have been a problem. Now, I did not know these lights that were being presented tonight, and it does look like that might be less of a glare coming in. But there are other issues that tied with this late night activities. We were told that, as she said, that the lights would not be late at night because there wouldn't be games very late. They do play ball games there, and sometimes the games run over. And so we understand that. We've been very tolerant, I think, of the activities there. We want to support the school. But there are lead-off activities. For example, parking issues, quality of life issues. For example, when they do have these games in the evening or day, there is the parking issues on our streets. And our streets, especially like, for example, my street, is a cul-de-sac. So there is very limited parking on the street. They are not always courteous about blocking your driveway and things of that nature. So more activities later in the night. I have been known to come home and not be able to pull into my driveway. Now, that doesn't sound so bad because you can always park on the street, maybe if there's place there. But the other issue is a safety issue. If we had a fire, the fire engines could not get up our street because of the way the streets are blocked. So even late at night, if we have people having activities to 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, this is going to be a safety issue too. So we are opposed to that. There is the noise element and also the lack of, and I don't think it's so much the St. Pius students and visitors as much as those coming from outside. It's not their home, they don't take pride in it, and we have trash, debris, just you wouldn't believe of the trash and stuff that they throw.
You wrap it up in about 30 seconds.
Okay.
So.
The issue of quality of life, noise factor, the safety issues, all of this does impact us. We want to work with St. Pius, but this is not an acceptable answer for us. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So we are right up against 10 minutes there. All right, we'll move forward. Then next item on the agenda is PZ 2021-830, which is 5900 Peachtree Boulevard. It's a flag variance.
Excuse me. For this agenda item, the subject property is 5900 Peachtree Boulevard. This is the Elis Chamblee lot. We are requesting variances from our sign ordinances regarding the flag. They have parcel acreage is 6.2 acres. They are requesting to add a flag, replace the existing flagpole and flag with a larger flagpole and flag. They are proposing a dimension of an 80-foot tall flagpole and a 600 square foot flag on a landscape island to the northeast of the curb cut on Peachtree Boulevard. This would be adjacent to the southwest corner of a smaller building on the Peachtree Boulevard side of the site. So there are two variances. One concerns the maximum area size of the flag, which is section 260-9J1. And then also they're requesting a variance from section 269J3 to exceed the maximum height of 60 feet. So the pole is limited according to code at 60 feet, and they are proposing an 80-foot high flagpole. Here's the aerial showing the site along Peachtree Boulevard. The flagpole is indicated with the red dot on the site plan. Here's a photograph of the existing flagpole. Staff is recommending denial of the two variance requests, both from the request to exceed the maximum area size of 32 square feet, and also staff recommends denial of the variance to exceed the maximum height of 60 feet in order to install an 80-foot flagpole instead. Should City Council, however, motion to approve the variance request, staff recommends that it be conditioned to being constructed in substantial conformity with the Exhibit A of the included, which is dated June 4th, 2021.
Great, thank you, Michelle. John, anything? All right, very good. All right, those wishing to speak in favor, we'll have 10 minutes for this portion. It's up to you.
Good evening. Steve Elis, 3678 North Peachtree Road, Chamblee, Georgia, representing Elis Chevrolet and JB Realty. Can I pass this?
Please, it seems to be the night to pass out.
I didn't want to be left out.
No, hey, I'll tell you what, man. I didn't bring a big enough briefcase.
Right. Well, I'll take them back. We can recycle it.
Yeah, I've got one.
Oh, Lord.
So, good evening again, Steve Elis, here representing Elis Chevrolet. We're here tonight with what we hope is a fairly simple request. We're requesting to replace an existing flagpole with a new flagpole that is 80 feet high with what we feel is an appropriate, well, not we feel, but what the industry standard feels is the appropriate size flag for the height of the pole we're requesting. There's documentation out there for the flagpole height and the size in relationship to the flag, to the pole itself. We think this is a prominent location. It's along the Peachtree Boulevard corridor, the entrance to Chamblee, and also kind of the hub of the General Motors, the American-made automotive brands. And so, kind of showcase that, we felt this would be a great opportunity to show our patriotism and our support with a nicer flagpole there. The document that I passed out is kind of a quick drive down Peachtree Boulevard. There's 8 or 9 or so flagpoles in the corridor. Majority, if not all, of the flags are larger than the 32 square feet that is allowed in UDO, which is very small for a flagpole by 8. The height of the flagpoles vary. I couldn't measure them. I didn't have to take measure long enough, but the one behind Hennessy Ford is the tallest, and then the others are kind of varying in height. Our current flagpole is 40 feet high. We're asking to double that height here in this request. And appreciate your support. We'll be here for any questions.
Great, thank you very much. Does anyone else wish to speak in favor? Anyone wish to speak in opposition to the flagpole? Very good. Next item we have then is PZ 2021-831, which is 4966 Buford Highway streetscape.
The subject parcel at 4966 Buford Highway is a proposed project by Three Buddies Restaurant. Their variance request that concerns their streetscape. This is a parcel that's just around 0.4 acres. It is zoned corridor commercial. They're proposing a restaurant. The applicant has applied for a building permit to conduct interior renovations. Their scope of work exceeds our 30% threshold for redevelopment costs, and this would trigger a requirement to complete streetscape and bring the streetscape to conformity. Buford Highway is categorized as boulevard, and this would require a 10-foot wide landscape zone with street trees and pedestrian lights and a 10-foot wide sidewalk. In order for the building permit to be issued, the applicant has to submit development plans to install the required streetscape and complete the sidewalk prior to receiving a certificate of occupancy. But for this matter, they are requesting them to vary from that requirement to be relieved of installing a 10-foot wide landscape zone, street lights and street trees, and a 10-foot wide sidewalk. Just to note, as we go through, that there is existing streetscape, and that does include street lights and 2 street trees. This is an aerial. You see the narrow dimensions of the lot along Buford Highway. There is an existing 5-foot wide sidewalk between 2 2-foot wide red brick pattern stamped concrete stripes, which is the existing streetscape that was put in by GDOT along Buford. There is, as I mentioned, 2 street lights currently on either side of the drive aisle curb cut, and there is a landscaped area behind the hardscape that's existing. So what you see here, I just want to point out the middle photograph is on the south side of the property. So part of the challenge is putting in a 10-foot wide sidewalk and landscape strip that would then have to transition from the drive, from where you see the drive to where you see the fence and the existing pole. There's very little dimension to the transition, so it's immediately crossing the driveway. It have to be a transition to the 5-foot existing sidewalk on the adjacent property. Staff does recommend approval of this request to vary from section 230-26 to be completely relieved of the requirement to install a 10-foot wide landscape zone, different pedestrian street lights or street trees, and from the 10-foot wide sidewalk requirement. Staff does recommend the following condition: that the applicant pay a fee in lieu amount equal to the cost of installing the streetscape from sideline line to the side lot line. So that concludes staff's report.
Thank you, Michelle. John, anything? No? All right. Those wish to speak in favor, keep in mind we'll have 10 minutes for this section. Please make your way to the microphone, tell us who you are, where you live, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council Member, for having us here today. I'm Shukanto. I'm the applicant for this variance, and also I have my 2 other partners here as well. So a little bit of our background.
You're good.
Yeah, next slide.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry. So a little bit background of ourselves is that we are 3 best friends ever since 2010. We all went middle school together, then went to high school together, worked in the same place. That's when our dream started. We want to open up a restaurant. We want to help the community. We want to build a good, healthy environment within the community, serving healthy food choice to the community people. And so when finally we came across to this property in 2020, June 2020, that's when we thought this is going to be a great place to be, because this place was built up for a Waffle House. And so we thought it's going to be really easy transition to get it again to our restaurant. So we went ahead and started our processing, applying for permits, and we had spent a lot of money. As I mentioned, we saved up those money when we were in school, and we have spent tons of money already. And this is just going beyond our budget so far right now. And so, I'm not sure what this is. Okay. So, and for the redevelopment assessment, since I just mentioned, we thought this is going to be a grandfather location, and we didn't expect it that we would have to spend all this money in here. And so, literally, as she mentioned, it's going to be very tough for us to put a 10-foot wide sidewalk. If we do, then we'd have to get rid of all the trees in the front, and then we have to get rid of some of our parking spot there as well. And then it's going to look totally different from all the adjacent properties that are currently here. So, if you would go to the next slide, see those are the adjacent location, and they do not have the wide sidescape. So they would literally change the entire face of the Buford Highway location, and we definitely, it's all up to you guys, and we appreciate you have, giving us the chance to present this to here today, and we'll take everything, whatever you decide, on us.
Great. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor? No. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this? No. Next. You want to move on?
Motion to exit the work session.
It's a public hearing.
Public hearing.
We can exit the work session too. That'd be great. Very good. Is there any discussion? Motion second, then to exit public hearing. All those in favor? That passed unanimously. All right, we're out. All right, now we get to call to order the work session. Now it's got me all confused. Do we have any announcements, presentations? All right, I'd like to ask the council, if you don't mind, without objection, if you do object, let me know and we'll throw something at you like the gavel. But I'd like to move C, Development Department item number 5, UDO Amendment Sewer and Septic, up to this portion of the agenda. We have a guest with us this evening from Pond and Company that needs to give us a presentation. We would like to hear a presentation, but she needs to get to another meeting. No objection. Nope. We will reorient the agenda without objection by consent, and we will move then to, doesn't mean we're skipping everything, we'll get back to it, but C5, which is UDO Amendment Sewer and Septic.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Staff will present the document for you, and Micah Slaney is here to answer questions. This is an amendment to the development section of the ordinance. That's why there's not a public hearing. It is not a zoning-related matter. It's related to the management of water, and it is required from the North Georgia Water Planning District. This is a section of the code, really it is a process matter of requiring to tap into public sanitary sewer. The water district requires that the jurisdiction that has authority establish procedures. So they don't dictate exactly what those procedures are. However, they require that we have those procedures. So an audit was done of our work, of our ordinances, and so this is required that we amend the code to comply with the inclusion of procedures related to public sewer connections. We, obviously, this is actually through DeKalb County. We don't actually control that, so we are using the process that was approved through DeKalb County, but we have to have it in our own codes as per the Water District's mandate. The first section establishes dimensions that you have the time and the dimensions. So there's a 24-month period of time by which to accomplish the tying into sewer, and there's a requirement that if you are within 100 feet of a public sanitary sewer, there's a requirement to tie in. And then there are established exceptions to this. It more generally defines sanitary sewer provisions. It has an establishment for new developments and references the appropriate standards within DeKalb County, and has some provisions for formatting. There is also a second piece to this relates to potable water, and it has to do with the use of potable water and prohibitions. Most of these, as you read through, are pretty commonsensical, such as don't water your lawn if it's raining, for example. Another is if you are washing your car with a hose, that's fine, but you have to be able to turn it off. You can't just be running the hose incessantly. So those are a couple of examples of the requirements related to the management of and not wasting potable water. So that's really the extent of the provisions before you. As I said, Heckus Lennon is here if you have specific technical questions that are above a different area for me.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Did you have something to present? No?
I do not have anything to say. I'm just
Okay.
here in case
All
there's
right. Does the
questions.
council have any, do you have any questions? Anything? All makes sense.
Sounds like it's all required, makes sense, so.
Okay. All right. Cool. Welcome back. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Everyone too.
Yeah, good to see you again. All right, very good. Then we will let Heike get to whatever it is she had to get to that was more important than us. We won't hold that
I'm
against
so
her.
sorry.
Thank you for being
so
here. No, that's cool. All right, staff action items. We're going to move right along. City clerk, we have the approval of minutes. We have a whole plethora of
Eddie needs you.
through.
Will that item be moving to a first reading?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Sorry. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Where's my red and green pals? We need
I
to
know,
know.
don't let care. You can just throw it. All right, so back to the city clerk. All right, we have like public hearing, work session, regular meeting, public hearing, called meeting. Like a lot of meetings. Council's been very busy. Does anybody have anything to discuss on any of the minutes? No. Great job, Emmy. City manager, then B. We have traffic calming program.
Thank you, Mayor. We have made the changes that were requested by the council at the June 2021 meeting. We've amended the traffic calming program and eliminated the annual fee and changed the requirements for starting that process and doing away with a two-tier or two-step petition.
Okay. Questions? Questions?
Thanks, John.
Comments? John?
So, well, my microphone's not working.
Just yell.
Well, Emmy will yell at me.
Welcome to
It's still a two-step process in the sense, not that you should have to, the applicant has to come in and find out the affected area.
Yes.
And then but that's not a petition, it's not a two-step petitioning process.
Right. The applicant will come in, we will determine the area impacted, then that area of impact will, from that, we will create a list of the people who will need to sign the petition, and they will only see.
And how many people are required to kick off this initial phase of, the study? I mean,
It could be two
people.
people.
And then I think Karen found where the form still has the $50 assessment still on there, $25 assessment.
We can make that change.
Yeah, it was just, it was, I'm sure it was just a copying and pasting, moving over. It just, we can charge a fee, and I said, I don't think that's supposed to be in there. But thank you guys for doing this. I'm especially happy with the fact that we moved the two petitions into one process. And I think it's very, very fair, to even move the standard up to 75% involvement of a neighborhood to get these things installed. But I'm very happy. Thank you.
All right, Karen's happy.
Now we're going to be flooded.
Yeah, well,
Yep, that's right.
Well,
That's right.
We'll see what happens.
Get your traffic calming devices here, folks.
Y'all are
Every
discussing.
month.
If you're discussing this again a year from now, we'll know that may be something to do too. All right, doesn't hurt to try. Next item then is traffic and safety improvements. It's just a traffic kind of night.
Thank you, Mayor. We have in our capital improvement plan 2 traffic and safety improvements. One on Johnson Ferry Road is a median and flashing crosswalk. The other is on Chamblee Dunwoody and Pierce Drive. On the Chamblee Dunwoody side of Pierce and Pierce Drive. On that one we would be putting a right in, right out on Pierce Drive and extending the turn lane going on to Peachtree Boulevard to the north. So those 2 plans have been through concept and design. We now have a potential contract with F.H. Passion to construct the traffic improvements for a cost not to exceed $120,000.
Cool. Discussions? Questions? All right, moving right along. Licensed consulting services.
Thank you, Mayor. We have previously contracted with management partners to conduct a review of processes in the city, specifically related to municipal court. They did a very good job for us, and we would like to contract with them to provide consulting services at a cost of $27,500 to provide a process review and provide us with ways to improve our process for alcohol licenses, massage and spa licenses, and occupational tax certificates.
Questions? Comments? Cool.
Forward to the review.
It involves alcohol. We're all in favor.
Alcohol and
All right, Development Department, these are the items, we have 4 of them that are moving forward from the public hearing. The first item was 2197 Irvindale Drive sign variance. Council have any questions for the staff and or the applicant?
I don't have any questions, but I do just want to make a comment. If you look at how traffic comes down Irvindale, I think, there's nothing that, if you're on Broad Street, that will draw you down Irvindale right now. Eventually there will be more, but right now there's nothing that even makes your eye go down there. This sign would be very visible from Broad Street and be very beneficial for this business, and I like the design too.
Other comments? Questions? John, trying to turn your mic now?
Just look, no, I have to turn on my phone on, but I have to say, I look forward to this business opening up. We've been talking about it for a really long time, and COVID kind of put the brakes on things.
Of course, it involves alcohol.
Yeah.
All right, we moving on? All right, next item is 2730 Shalford Road Field Light Variance. Questions from the council?
I just have a question. I remember when we granted the ability to use that parking lot, did y'all have a sunset clause in it? No? Never? Okay.
No.
With the applicant, there was a list of the locations that you were having. I'm a kind of, these renderings.
So someone who's going to address the question, please come to the microphone.
The guy that works for the lighting company.
Yeah,
I don't remember his name. Don't tell me Must go like that.
All right, what's your question, John?
So there was on one of the slides, there was a list of locations that showed where your product is currently installed. As I was trying to say before I forgot, these renderings are great. They do a lot, but I've learned not to trust renderings. I like to go see it for myself, with my own 2 eyes. So it's that. So is that something we have? Is that in the packet? Or is that something?
What are we looking at?
This.
Oh, where they're at currently?
I didn't see that in the packet.
No, I think
not
it's
in the packet.
I would like that. You could send me a list, or all the councilors. All of us will probably drive by just one of those locations to see if we can happen upon something or not.
If you ever care to visit us in Dunwoody, the lights on the Brook Run Park baseball field are on 7 nights a week.
Right.
But yeah, happy to do that.
That would be helpful, I think, for just to see it.
Other questions?
Nope.
Karen?
When, I don't know if you can answer this, it might have to be somebody from Pius.
Sure.
What lights are installed there now?
I can speak to that.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yes, those are our lights as well. Those are our first or second generation of LED. LED's been evolving like iPhones. So now we're on our, I've lost count, 6th, maybe 7th generation.
I lost track of my iPhone too, so. No, I mean, I actually lost it. Yeah.
Get insurance.
How tall are the current ones?
The current ones are retrofitted. So in a typical, and they're either 70 foot or 80 foot tall.
Okay.
That's the most common mounting height for a football stadium.
Okay, so you're not looking to go any higher than that?
Right. We'll be the baseball will be consistent with the football stadium. That's correct.
And how, I'm not sure what's happening now in this area. Maybe you guys who have, and obviously you who live in the neighborhood have been more familiar with these activities. I don't know how, is this like practice 5 nights a week that goes until after dark? Is it the occasional practice and game? I'm not sure what the schedule, how often these kind of lights are on.
So I'll speak on behalf of that, and I actually already had a conversation with the staff this afternoon in regards to everything. These drawings here are talking about 8 poles. St. Pius is already talking with Musco and is willing to figure out a way to reduce this down to 6 and eliminate 2 of the poles that would be on Frontier Trail, so the right of way would not be in question anymore. And we think that'll obviously reduce the lighting of the area, but still be sufficient for our purposes, from whether it be from a practice standpoint, a game standpoint, and again the safety and lighting. So from that, and then answer your question, we have our head baseball coach here with us as well, and we're not going to put a guarantee on a box. We wouldn't do that, but we will not be starting any games later or practices later than 6 o'clock. So we understand that there are times that, certainly rain is going to delay those kind of things and stuff like that, but we will very, very rarely ever go past the 10:30 time limit that we have. And again, I don't ever think that would ever happen. And we have the ability to program them, turn them off, do whatever we need to do. And again, this goes back to what I was talking about with our survey that we've done on the campus. We can do that remotely. We've talked with the city of Chamblee Police about how the ability to turn these on and off whenever we can. I'm willing to give them the app. They can turn it on and off whenever they want to, if for whatever reason. So again, we certainly understand what goes on right now is just practices on that small field. We can't do anything after about 7 o'clock because it does get dark. These lights are just going to allow us to go an extra hour, hour and a half. On the baseball field, again, maybe an extra hour, hour and a half, 2 hours at the max. So nothing of extreme time.
Other questions, comments? No, thank you. I will say I've known several Pius students that park in that parking lot that was in question there and have not felt as safe as I would like to have had them feel safe for that too. So, all right. Next item then is 5900 Peachtree Boulevard, the flag variance. Good. You're good.
I guess I'll go. Does it turn my turn?
That's done on purpose, John.
Probably.
You might figure that out before the night's
So, Mr. Steve Ellis, can you step up to
no relation to the Ellis family. Well, not the automotive Ellis family, but another Ellis family.
Yes, sir.
We had a discussion about the other flags and other on Peachtree Boulevard, and you, in your document that you passed out, you included one that said precedent-setting light at Hennessy. So I drove down the road and looked, and I guess I'm not very good at sharp eye because I only spotted 6 lights and flagpoles. So and none of them stood out to me as being
really
obnoxious or whatever. So I want to know. You already said some of these light flags are greater than
a 32
square foot.
Correct.
But 32 to 600 is a huge jump. So where do these land in that, and how much bigger is yours going to be, and what? That's kind of. I just want to. It sounds big, but it doesn't mean anything to me. I have no idea. I would know a 600 square foot flag from whatever.
Right. I'll have to do some research to get back to you. I'll have to physically measure them. I looked at them. They look tall. I don't know.
How big is yours?
Current flag is about the flag itself.
Yeah.
I don't really answer that. I know the pole is 35 to 40 feet high, so the flag's far bigger than 32 square feet.
Yeah.
Probably 200-300 square feet at least.
And so the precedent setting one, is that because it's up on a hill, or is that the actual length?
It's the height. Yeah, it's up on the hill.
Okay.
And how tall is that one? Did you know?
I don't know.
That's the biggest one.
Was that one just recently installed with their new dealership? I don't know.
No, it's been there for a long time.
Okay.
Many years in Boy Scouts, we learned distance from, angle up, and get you the kind of folders. It's a geometry problem. I'll solve that. I did it in Boy Scouts.
Were you in
frontiering or something like that?
Were you in 4-H also? Or just 4-H?
No, I wasn't in 4-H. I was in
just
Future Farmers of America.
Gotcha. All right. Anything else? I'll just add, Steve, you know this, the reason we've changed a lot of our ordinance over time is to reduce visual blight, and just because there's poles or pole signs or billboards for that matter doesn't mean they set a precedence or that we're going to do it because there's others just like it.
Right.
We tell people all the time they can't have signs or pole signs or billboards. Okay, thank you.
Understood, thanks. I'll get back to John.
All right, next item, Buford Highway, 4966 Buford Highway streetscape. Questions? No?
No questions.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so we already did we will move to first read, the UDO amendment, since I forgot to say that earlier. Police Department, Big Star, where's Chief? He's not here. Parks and Recreation, F for Finance. Man, we got nothing going on. I love it. Public Works, Economic Development.
We're all sitting on the job.
We're all doing good. Thank you all very much for being here. Community Engagement Department.
Thank you, Mayor. We have made the changes to the Chamblee Nonprofit Partnership Program as presented, and we are ready to move that forward.
Any discussion? Love it.
Thank you.
Next item is and thank you, Brian, for bringing that to our attention and bringing it up. I think that's awesome. Approval of PAC recommendation for mural location.
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Brittany Lindsay would like to present this item to the council.
All right. Woohoo! Go, Brittany.
Thank you, John. Hello, Mayor and Council. Today we are bringing to you the new mural recommendation location for Brandon Sadler's piece. We are recommending that it goes on the side of the current City Hall. As a reminder, this building is recommended to be an art center. We are in the middle of a business plan for that right now. There's no plans to change this wall, so it'll still be here. We are recommending this location because it's close to MARTA, it has a high level of pedestrian activity, and you can easily walk up and engage in the mural piece, which is right here. So this piece does include a mirror where it says what this generally look like. You stand in front of the mirror, and it's yourself. So we brought this in front of Pat, and we are bringing it in front of you.
So will it be below that window? Will it just kind of be like, or will it be the design of this giant, because it's like a rectangle, horizontal rectangle versus that's more of a square.
Yes. We'll work with Brandon Sadler on adjusting the piece. There's also elements in the artwork that we're going to change as well.
Okay, gotcha. And the window's not going to be obstructed?
No.
Cool.
So you're familiar with what they're working on enough to know that this wall won't be messed with?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Is there a lighting option, like an up lighting kind of?
No, we want dark skies. Down lighting.
Okay, down light. Excuse me.
If you uplight it. See, I want to see the stars again. I grew up in the Rocky Mountains. I miss the stars.
You're right.
We're stars.
Well, that's true. I have stars right here.
That's something
Or
that
clowns
we'll
to the
work
left
on.
of me, fools to the right. You pick it, okay?
That is something,
Sorry, Brittany.
lighting and all that, we'll work on that as soon as we get through the business plan and start going towards our next steps for the building.
Excellent.
I love it.
All right.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we're having fun. Boards, authorities, and committees. I got asked, who's board? Nobody's an authority. Nothing gets done by committee, let me just tell you right now. Nothing. All right, city attorney, Joe's not here, and he will have a first read of the UDO sewer septic amendment on Tuesday. He'll also have the first read of the exchange of abandoned right-of-way at Catalina Drive and Coronado Place.
That won't be a first read, that'll be a third.
The second read.
No, sir. It's its own item.
Oh, it's its own item. Look at that. Wow. Look at that. That's why it's got a 3 next to it. Holy guacamole. I love it. I missed it totally. So that's not a second read. That's just its own little item. Joe's not going to, he's only have one thing to read. My gosh, how's he going to pay for his vote on Lake Lanier if he doesn't bill us for all those reasons? Anyway. Mayor and council, all big stars. Y'all must have got everything discussed at the
oh, you don't even know.
You
Thank God.
Yeah.
So glad I wasn't there, right?
You kept us so busy we didn't have time to put anything on the agenda.
There you go.
What happened to that?
All right. So we do have citizen comment. Anyone wishing to come to the microphone, you'll have 3 minutes to tell us what's on your mind.
Just what do you think about
Going once, going twice, no. I will comment that I'm sorry that I missed the retreat. However, my son did really well at the FBU Top Gun Shootout invite only football event camp. So that's why I was there. All right. Do we have an executive session this evening?
Oh,
We do,
can I
Mayor.
say something to senpais in front of you? One more thing.
You have 3 minutes, ma'am. Come to the
1
microphone.
minute.
Well, you have 3.
I
So.
want to talk about my neighbor, Claudia, which one near you. Every morning, like 5, 6 o'clock, the garbage truck coming. And they have little baby. I feel so sorry about them. Truly. Maybe they can change schedule. I don't know, but the boy, I think, how old?
Ma'am, again, this way.
Yeah, he is maybe 1 year old. They just bought this house. And by the way, they didn't know about this, that every morning, 5 o'clock, garbage truck coming to senpai. So if senpais or you together, I don't know, if we can help them, because for me it doesn't matter, I wake up at 4 o'clock, I'm old already. But the young couple and the little boy, oh my God. Truly, if you can help with this, would be great.
Thank you.
Yeah?
You were right. You were right. Actually, 53 seconds.
Wow.
All right. We do have an executive session this evening.
Executive session for legal matters and personnel matters.
All right. So we have executive session. Somebody care to make a motion?
Make a motion to enter executive session
For
a personnel matter and a legal matter.
very good. All those in favor? That passed unanimously. We'll have to ask everybody to leave the building, just leave the room. We'll shut the door. Just as a point of order, we will reopen this meeting before we close it. If there's any action item that needs to be taken based on just the executive session, no other action items will take place this evening.
Remember everything.
It would be nice. It will be nice when there is a place to
Right, to just kind of walk to.
Walk to. Oh, I guess we could.
Only somebody from Fort Bear, Colbert would know these things.
Can we do?
I'm from Danielsville.
All right, very good. Without objection, we will call